Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It is the 18th February, 10 a.m. At the Old Bailey courtroom as we begin our first trial in Great Britain. Because we literally have just arrived, and this is our test to whether we are worthy to continue the study tour. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different from the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruto? Oh yes, what? Oh my gosh, she's so stiff. Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. That guy looks like a vampire. And he looks like Santa Claus. In the name of Her Majesty, the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt of innocence of Mr. Magnus McGill. And I'll call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look like fully prepared to dispatch his victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? Oh, yes, of course, sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes, please. Nipponese? Nippon. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. Oh, a cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toe. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord? You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? As I've always said, my lord, it is a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the fella is a student from some little island off the Far East, it is not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine gentleman London has in him. Did you hear that he donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, please may we go and play at the McGilded Park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable state sentiment. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly to remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows, where they belong, I'm more than ready. At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. Okay, nothing. Okay, I feel a chill. Don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Mr. Naruto, those people are... The jury, yes. There's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right, I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the country's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on the common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. How exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes. Prosecutor Van Zeeks? Yes, my lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your fame. I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years has passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstances of which the court should be aware? Getting a spam call? We just ignore that. I get spam calls way too often nowadays, and they're like scheduled and come in pairs. I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reapers has been out of action for 5 years. Why didn't he have chose today of all to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruto. As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements. I think a summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice Fired Mason. Sorry, thrice? That just means 3. He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigation's medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept the photograph as evidence. Yep, we got the evidence, autopsy report. And, wait, what did the autopsy thing say? We'll look at that real quick. Oops. How do I access? It is... I don't have access to it yet. Oh yeah, I do. Court records. There we go. I feel like I haven't played in a while. Let's see, an armband I inherited. Okay. Autopsy report. Thrice fired male, brick maker, February, stabbed in the abdomen with a knife while journeying in the omnibus. Died to internal hemorrhage resulting from trauma. Okay, nothing out of place there. Can't look around this photo, so let's just proceed. And one further item of evidence. Prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them? Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. The defense of those gloves have been added. How did I get myself into this? Alright, let's look at those gloves for a moment. Oh, there we go. Good look around it. I don't see anything odd off the bat. You can just look at this blood stain. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way... Oh, didn't read it. Yes, I believe. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. That is true. Pretty true. Alright, let's go back. Continue onward. I'm backed into a corner before I even started. Oh, sorry if you hear my water bottlers crunching. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside the vehicle at the time. Only 2. Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brick maker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you? Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded, to be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening, but whenever I'm in the carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and always succumb to it. So he takes a nap in there. Are you claiming to have been asleep? Is the motion of the carriage, my lord? Lilton, so it is. And when I opened my eyes again, okay, I don't understand that Lilton part, was a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I've never laid eyes before in my life. Now I ask, you see, what other good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. The blood got on the gloves then after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? It's not all of it? How many people could have seen this? There were multiple witnesses. See the precise moment of which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Gosh, that lady is typing up a storm. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimonies from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses here at once. Oh, that's a chilly cold person. Got some nice and fine... Oh, that hat. Witnesses, your names and occupation. My name is, well... Everyone calls me Beeple. I drive the omnibus in the far end. Bruce Fairplay, I'm a banker in the city. My name is First. Laid First. I must make hats for gents. Let's begin by confronting the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in the omnibus and witnessed to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Quite right. Yes, sir. That's right, sir. Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. Alright, time to listen up and try to remember the mechanics of this because I haven't played a court since the first episode. So what the witness saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged the knife into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped the bus. And then I saw it too. Not very a lot of information. I'm gonna have to press them. Unambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel? Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have been seen when it happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. I mean, to me it makes sense of the question, but to them, it's probably very, very obvious. How quaint. I read that civilization in the East Nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Tell me, Mr. Nipponese. Have you ever traveled in an omnibus? Have we? I don't even know. We traveled in a carriage. Well, no. Well, only arrived in London this morning. No matter. Arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? The carriage is designed to be moved after all. Presumably, you understand that much. But does he actually have the carriage here? Yes. The omnibus in which the bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here. What? The entire carriage? Bailiff? Bring forth the stricken omnibus. Oh, that poor bailiff, working him to the bone. He's bringing a whole carriage. He brought that whole... How did they fit that in? So that's an ominous omnibus? The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous. Oh, I mean, the door right there is pretty big, so they could bring it in. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin and another 4 on top of the roof. Every Londoner knows that the best view of the city, architects, and sights ought to be had from the top of the omnibus. That sounds nice. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there's a skylight in the roof allowing view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight. Oh! Penny dropped at last, I see. Well, that's how they saw it. The 2 gentlemen were occupying the roof seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. But they say next to it, because they only would have seen one side of the chair. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Did they just see the guy getting stabbed? They didn't see who was stabbing them. Through the skylights? That makes perfect sense. Well, counsel, this is the first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecutioner's wish. What? Very dramatic. Well, let's see. I have no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Hey, look at it. Oh, I actually have a 3D view of it. That's interesting. I can't look at the very top of it. What? Phoenix Wright Omnibus. Excuse me? That's quite a reference. I wonder if we're gonna mention any of that at all. Oh wait, I saw a little marker come up. Oh, just there. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witness would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Alright, let's leave the carriage for now. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving the omnibus a thorough examination as this is here. Let's continue with the proceedings then, your cross-examination counsel. Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of British courtroom examination rights. That's right, take a deep breath, calm down. Alright, my first cross-examination in the British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. Alright, cross-examination time. Why is his... Never mind. Let's see. It was the last bus to Immerse. I had a few customers. I remember it well. Oh, let's present. Let's press on.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Oh, I can switch between people. Ever so, it was freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same time. Parts of the bus, of course, though, no. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No one. These guys aren't flinching. This guy's always looking at one side, though. So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then. I have to say, the boss insists on running it. He does. Every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, what With it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spent that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to stay warm up again. Oh, that's sad. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus.
Hold it!
And you saw them through the skylight on the roof of the carriage. That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on the inside, so I had a pretty good view. Wait, they're sitting next to each other. The two of them were wearing hats and couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. Gilded. I could sworn someone said they were sitting across from each other. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. Gilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget when the vehicle came to halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. I really wish there was. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. Can I look at something really quick? Straight through. I don't know, I feel like there's something wrong with this. You accurately saw the exact moment it happened. Did I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkin' hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw a little more in detail. My lord. Juror number 3, what is the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They've always been up to something other than they shouldn't be. This is really biased. Where's your impartialness? And the little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. I'm sorry? There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of that. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That's precisely what I was about to say. Oh, no, hold on, people. You're being pretty biased here. As a foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set an example for fellow... Oh, no. What are you doing? You people are absurd. What's happening here? Let me see. Oh, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocence and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make their minds about the case, one by one they each blast a fireball into the great scale of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried than I was. Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. This is a nightmare. What the heck? That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
Hold it!
You stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see. I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then, I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly, that huge great knife. A grim sight indeed. Oh, that didn't help me at all. Oh, these people. I mean, those two already made up their mind. The jury looked like they're even more convinced of the clients than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious Mr. Gilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicion. Mr. First? Oh, yes, sir. Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that... Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That is the blade, considerable size. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is embezzled, partly with a certain initial. Letter M, which oddly seems familiar. Please no. M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake. But there are M's everywhere. Like yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for poor brickmakers who have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel. The murder weapon has been accepted in the court records. Oh, God. Let's see. Oops. Let's look at the court record. Let's look at that knife. It says they had initials somewhere. Wonder if I can see it. What part of this sheath isn't it? You're right, Mr. Naruto. Well, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Those don't seem like words of a man with a large katana slung to his waist. That's not a blade, it's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Oh, the blood is still there. Are we sure this is an M? I mean, it kind of does look like an M, but it could also look like a W. Let's see. Nothing inside the blade itself. But yeah, we got blood on here. Oh, that looks a lot like blood. It surely is blood. The victims. Ugh, English man's blood looks like Japanese blood's man. Do you think it would? It wouldn't. Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. Seems like. Let us go back. My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. Juror number 2, go on. Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Oh my god. No. Wait, dispose of the rubbish! This is going far terribly. Great, half of it. We have to get the scales in balance again. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. Oh no, don't tell me you too. I have painstakingly typed every word utterly here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in position to draw only these people are drawing the conclusions way too quickly. For goodness sakes, what is wrong with these people? That's 4 out of 6 jurors that proposed them guilty. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press the witness for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses. Must give up hope that we'll uncover something, and that'll give us a way to fight back. But, alright, I'll keep trying. Can't give up now. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witness statements again. Alright, it's time for us to listen to these statements again, but this is actually where we're going to end this part here. So, thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in getting the game for yourself, be sure to check it out in the description links below to the corresponding stores. So until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye.